Hey everybody, we are headed out to a trail today and I am going to introduce you to my new to me vehicle. It's been something I've been meaning to do for the last 6 or 7 weeks. Just been busy and haven't had a chance to do it. So we're going to talk about what I got, show you around real quick, and then I will talk about why I got rid of my other vehicle for this one. So stand by, we'll be out at the trail here shortly and we'll check it out. All right guys, so I made it out to Madera Canyon. So we're gonna walk back up this trail here and I'll show you my new vehicle. I just saw this tree changing colors down here, so I thought I'd come check it out. I know it's kind of a silly thing for a lot of you to get worked up about, but we don't get a lot of this in Tucson. You have to kind of go to some higher elevations around here to get leaves changing, so kind of fun. Pretty dry out here right now though, even with all the rain we had. Madera Canyon roads, I've been out here a bunch of times in my videos, in the Crosstrek and the Jeep. All right, so introducing my new to me. It's a 2021 Ford Ranger Lariat with the trimmer package. And when I bought it, it just had 3,300 miles on it, so almost new. So we'll show you around this thing a little bit and see what you think. Ford Ranger, it's 2021. These guys have been in production in this style for a number of years. They didn't come to the States until 2019, and they're actually coming out with a new model. I think it's in this year, or 2024 technically. So why'd I choose a Ford Ranger? Well, for the most part, I didn't want to go with something as common as a Toyota. I like Toyotas, I've had them in the past. I just don't think the interiors are all that nice, and they probably are the best trucks off-road, but you know, I'm not doing anything crazy. My brother in Kansas actually has a Ranger Lariat and really likes it, and I've been in it a couple times, really like it as well. So started looking around and found out that Ford actually makes this trimmer package, which is just kind of upgrades the off-road ability. And essentially what that gives you is all-terrain tires, an inch higher ground clearance, Fox shocks up front, enhanced springs in the back. They are leaf springs still, but they're enhanced compared to the other Ranger models. You have terrain modes. You have a locking rear differential. It gives you some auxiliary switches kind of pre-set up, kind of like my Jeep had. And there's a few other things I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head, but I'll put them up on the screen. So 9.7 inches of ground clearance. Oh, skid plates as well. So I just think it's kind of a nice looking truck. It's nothing super flashy, but being that it's a Lariat, you actually get leather, and with the trimmer package you get suede as well, which is nice. These little red nostrils up front are also part of the trimmer package, and this grille specifically, I believe. The tow hooks that are on here does have a towing package, and you can tow 7,500 pounds. As well as over 1,400 pound payload, which is kind of nice. So if you want to use it for overlanding, you can. When I got it, it had just 3,300 miles on it. And the only thing, it did have this tonneau cover on it, and it did not have a spray-in bed liner. It just had this bed mat in it. So I actually had this Line-X spray-in put in here. Just to protect the bed, because I'm going to be using it for hauling wood for sure. Quick look on the inside for you, and I'll show you a little more detail a little later. But these seats actually will fold up. There's some storage underneath. This guy folds down like most vehicles. You got pockets on the back of the seats. And again, there's the suede with a little bit of leather, which is super nice. And then I got all my camera stuff up here, but similar difference. You get these little trimmer inserts or trimmer stitching on the seats. There's the four-wheel drive and terrain mode selections. You also have the different buttons there that we'll talk about a little bit later, but it's a nice place to be. Super comfortable, and can't complain at all so far. So the Jeep is gone. We decided to get a truck a while back, mainly because the Jeep sat around a lot. I used it when I did go off-road and we go camping, and I also used it for pulling my trailer. However, I've been so busy now that I'm retired, which is amazing, with my part full-time job and traveling. Haven't done much of off-roading, so the Jeep sat around a lot. And so my wife and I started talking about it, and we just kind of thought it would be nice to have a truck. Just makes life easy in a lot of instances, picking things up from Costco, or for me, going to the wood store, not having to use my trailer, things like that. We did not get rid of the Jeep because we didn't like it or didn't enjoy driving it, because we both did. In fact, I think it's actually a really good daily driver. My only criticism of the Jeep over the years that I owned it was the fact that it just had really vague steering, especially on the freeway. That made that not all that fun. If I had the choice between our other vehicles and driving that on the freeway, I would choose the other vehicles all the time. I also took a really long road trip in this thing, all the way to Merced, California from Tucson. It's about 735 miles or so from here to there. Stayed there for a week, commuted back and forth to the job I was doing. And then from there, I actually drove to Oceanside, California, and worked out of Carlsbad. So I was commuting there for another 2 weeks and put about 1,500 miles on the truck. And the thing is amazing on the freeway. Definitely quieter than the Jeep, more comfortable, and the steering is 10 times better than the Jeep is. So really no complaints on how this thing does on the freeway. Gas mileage wise, they rated it 19 and 19, but it definitely does better than that. I got almost 23 going to California, and then generally around town, you're looking at anywhere between 19 and 21 so far. And that's pretty comparable to the Jeep. The Jeep did usually 21, 22 all the time, and was capable of 23 on the freeway if you're going 65. There are actually a couple things that I like about the Jeep a little bit better than I do this. Number one, and this is a really dumb thing, but kind of a weird one, the steering wheel in here just feels cheap to me. It's supposed to be leather. I guess it is leather, but it feels like plastic. And compared to the Jeep, the Tesla, and the Volt, it's just a terrible steering wheel. I don't know what Ford story is there. I don't know if all their vehicles are that way. I just find the steering wheel to be just really blah. It's not hideous, but it just doesn't feel like leather. It doesn't feel comfortable. Or I'm not going to say it doesn't feel comfortable. It just doesn't feel nice in your hands. I'll say that. The other interesting thing is also related to the steering wheel, and that is there is no heated steering wheel in this vehicle. And it's a little bit vague online. I read about it. It seems like it is an option, but I have every option that I know was available on this thing, and I cannot find anywhere to turn on a heated steering wheel if there is one. So if you guys know, please let me know in the comments. You might think it's silly to want a steering wheel heater in Arizona, but we actually do get down in Tucson here into the high 20s, low 30s in the winter now and then. So it's just something nice to have every now and then. It's not a big deal. It does have seat warmers, which is nice, but just no heated steering wheel. Kind of weird. Let's take a quick look at the terrain modes and a couple of the other things on the interior. Here's the steering wheel. I mean, it probably looks okay in pictures, but it just doesn't feel great. Like most vehicles, you have your controls on here as far as cruise control, adaptive cruise, and then cruise control. This is setting the distance. These little buttons here are going to control this left-sided screen. Just kind of takes you through the different things on there. And then these buttons here, same deal. You got your controls for the radio. And then these guys control this screen on this side. And it's just entertainment, navigation, and phone. It's really nothing super exciting. Typical stuff over here, lights, and then mirrors. And then here's your all-wheel drive, or your 4 high, 4 low terrain modes. And turning start, stop, off, locking the rear diff. This is a kind of like an off-road cruise control. It's kind of a neat little deal where you can set your speed and the car will just crawl for you. Trailer mode, parking sensor, and then traction control. I think I mentioned it earlier, but the vehicle does have what they call a sport mode, which is really good for off-roading because it gives you control of your RPMs. This vehicle has a 10-speed automatic transmission, and its main goal in life is to get you the best gas mileage possible. So it just shifts into that highest gear as quickly as it can, which can be annoying, especially off-road. So with the plus and minus on the steering wheel and in sport mode, you can control those RPMs off-road, which is actually very nice. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you've got a combination of you know, buttons, and then you can work this stuff on the screen as well. And the screen is decent. I don't think it's quite as good as the one in the Volt. Definitely better than the one in the Crosstrek, and probably not quite as good as the one in the Jeep. It seems to be a little bit laggy sometimes. Right now it's actually working pretty well, but it definitely can be laggy. And this is Sync 3, I think it's 3.4, but it has all the normal stuff: Sirius XM, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that good stuff. But you can work some of the other stuff through here. But I think it's nice in here. It's definitely very comfortable. Here's those auxiliary switches I mentioned earlier that are part of the Tremor package. But, you know, the gauges are great. I don't have any problems. The adaptive cruise control, which I'm not always a huge fan of, seems to be working just fine. Doesn't have any of that phantom braking like the Tesla, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, so I'm going to head back to the main road. Sorry about the rattling here. I have my cooler. But I appreciate you checking out the video. I'll have more on this vehicle down the road. So far, very happy with it. Like I said, it's been about 6 weeks, and I've already put over 3,000 miles on it with that big trip I did. So overall, good stuff, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, how it goes over the next few months with this guy. I'm hoping that it kind of motivates me to get out and do some more camping and making time to do some off-roading again, especially now that my son has the lift on the Crosstrek. He can certainly get to a lot of places that I couldn't get to, which I'm looking forward to, so that'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, take care. If you have any comments or questions, leave those below. We'll see you next time.